right, cause this is for the fans who truly understand. Real all the time, all A on my fam. Shooting for the stars, and knife in the land. Giving everything I can, while they tell me I'm the man. Making me.
It is time for the Gill Squeeze career mode, where we'll be driving as Gill Squeeze on the F1 2016 game through his career. The team he will be driving for we'll get to in a second, but Gill Squeeze, the German, number 2 with the black and gold helmet. The team he'll be driving for is none other than Scuderia Ferrari. Here we go. Scuderia Ferrari has offered a contract to Gill Squeeze after seeing his talents in GP2. He will be coming up into Formula 1. We'll be doing full qualifying, 25% race. Here we go into the Gill Squeeze career mode.
Hi, I'm Emma Jenkins. I'm a specialist in contract law, and I've been brought in to work as your agent. I'll be working to get you the best deal in the boardroom, which means you need to do the best possible job out there on the circuit. When you get new contract offers, either from new teams or an amendment to your existing offer, it'll come through me. I'll also keep you up to date on discussions behind the scenes to change your terms, or any specific goals that the team has set for you. If a contract offer does come through, I'll present to you the available offers, and then you can make the call. I assume that all sounds fine. Well then, good luck this season, and I'll catch you later.
Alright, so we have gotten our contract, yada yada yada, no one really cares about the contract. Gill Squeeze with the Scuderia Ferrari team. Our teammate is Sebastian Vettel, as we will be going to Albert Park practice number 1. His first practice in Gill Squeeze's career. The excitement is off the charts as here we go. Alright, sitting in the car, you can feel the emotions running through Gill Squeeze's head as we now go to on-track footage of Gill Squeeze in the track acclimatization. Here entering the final corner, misses the completely misses the apex on the penultimate corner, but comes out with what will be a purple lap time, giving him maximum experience points, I guess you could say. Maximum points, maximum money to use on upgrades. We'll now be doing the qualifying pace practice program, and so here we go, on to track for the practice program. Coming to the end of our first attempt at it, and we are in the red, in the green, and we come across the line, just making it by 23 hundredths of a second. There are 2 hundredths of a second, 23 thousandths of a second at the end of qualifying. Gill Squeeze just ahead of Sebastian Vettel on super soft tires. He was literally less than a tenth ahead of Sebastian Vettel, who used medium tires against Gill Squeeze's super soft tires. That's interesting, which means maybe we are lacking a bit off the pace in that first practice session. But here we go. Here is our engineer to introduce himself.
Good to meet you at last. My name's Chris, and I'll be working with you as your Chief of Vehicle Development. It'll be my job to get your feedback as a driver and to direct our upgrade design in the areas that you feel are most lacking. At each Grand Prix, we can run a series of practice programs and log the performance of the car as you drive it at its limit. This gives us data that we can utilize to develop various performance improvements. In order for me to know which upgrades to prioritize, I'll need you to select a development area that you'd like us to focus on. And you can do that in the R&D section of your laptop. Anyway, that's all for now, but I'll keep you up to date, okay? I'll see you soon.
Alright, so that was our engineer, and we are now entering qualifying. So in the cockpit before his first qualifying session, Gill Squeeze looking to maybe put it on pole. In Q1, we will be using, I believe, the soft tires, as we are in the Ferrari team, which should be easier to get through into Q2 than most other teams. So we will be using the soft tires in this first session. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. As we now head on to the track, and we come to the end of our first run of the the soft tires, and we go a little wide of the penultimate corner, and it was just a bad overall lap. Made a couple mistakes, a couple silly, careless mistakes, and so you see we are behind Jensen Button. We come to our second attempt on the soft tires. We just continue straight on from there, and you can see we are solid 4 or 5 tenths ahead. Looks like we're going to get through, and then the fuel hits. We are out of fuel, just coming to the last straightaway, and we are out of fuel, and that is our qualifying run over. We'll see if we can refuel and set a better lap time. You see now we're 10th up, need to get a couple more tenths maybe in the last couple of corners. Easier said than done though. 2 tenths up on our time, 3 tenths, and this beautiful exit gets us just about 8 tenths up on our last time. So that will get us into Q2 easily. That's good to see from Gill Squeeze getting adjusted to the car and the track. Now Q2, let's see, or excuse me, now the end of Q1 we'll be coming to in a moment, as Gill Squeeze needs to find the retire from session. There's the retire from session. At the end of Q1, Sebastian Vettel goes on the super soft tires, set to 26.5. We, on the soft tires, set a 28 dead, but we see Daniel Ricciardo in the Red Bull set to 26.9 on the soft tires, which means there is over a second of pace we can find on those soft tires, which we should probably have to find. We need to find before the race starts. So here we go to Q2, coming towards the end of our first run. Gill Squeeze in the third sector, he's pretty strong in, as long as he doesn't make any mistakes. You see him just going off the racing line a little bit there. Coming into the penultimate corner, very tricky. He goes a little bit wide and into the final corner. It's a decent exit, puts on the DRS, and it's just a drag race to the end. As they said, 27.1, a fairly solid time from Gill Squeeze. His fastest lap of the weekend, and that should get him into Q3 with no issues. So, Q3 coming up in a moment. If Kenny stay in Q3, we fast forward to the end, still staying in 4th, 5th. Sebastian Vettel sets a better time on soft tires. That's interesting, which means we really need to find the pace in Q3. So, this Ferrari team looking a bit off the pace of Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen early on. But we see we qualify 6th and move on to Q3, putting on a fresh set of super soft tires that we have because we did not run super soft in Q1. So that should be good. As you can see now, we call our engineer over with a tablet and put on a fresh set of super soft tires. That'll be awesome to use during this first run. And we now go to the end, or the right before the start of our first run on this fresh super soft tires. Right behind, we're coming to the end of our first run, and we're right behind Science. We set a fairly decent lap so far, and it's actually been a very good lap. It's been hitting all the apexes. Gill Squeeze now comes up to line with a bit of slipstream from Carlos Sainz and sets a 25.9, the fastest lap of his weekend, and I believe the fastest lap of the weekend, as we are in provisional pole ahead of both Mercedes drivers, both Red Bull drivers, and our teammate. That's huge for us. If we can get through, and no, Sebastian Vettel eclipses our time by just about a tenth, just over a tenth of a second, but we have a Ferrari 1-2, Scuderia Ferrari locks out the front row, followed by a second row lockout from Mercedes, followed by a third row lockout of Red Bull. This should be a huge start here for Gill Squeeze in his first ever Grand Prix.
Let's remind ourselves of yesterday.
Gill Squeeze, you can see, you can feel the emotions and you can feel the tension as this is right before his first start of his F1 career. We were thinking about pitting maybe on lap 4, pushing a little bit in the first stint, but look, as you can see, we are debating our stint. We were thinking about pitting lap 4 and having a longer second stint, but we decided against it. Pit lap 5, about 1 lap longer than most others should pit. So we are now heading to the line, no formation lap, and Gill Squeeze 3, 4, 5 red lights, and away we go for Gill Squeeze's career. An amazing start from Gill Squeeze, overtaking his teammate on the start, going into turn 1. Can he keep it under braking? Sebastian Vettel tries to pull aside him, but Gill Squeeze that gets the better exit, and Gill Squeeze in his first ever Grand Prix is leading the Australian Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel tries to put one down the inside on Gill Squeeze, unable to come up with it. Gill Squeeze controlling this race from the front now. We realize now though, the two drivers behind us, Rosberg and Vettel, are on soft tires, which means they will be trying to go deeper into the race and be on super softs at the end. That means we need to put a gap, like right now, on those two, because they will be faster towards the end of the race. But as we skip to lap 2, we start that trend of speeding up a bit and getting a bit of a gap between us with the fastest lap. We skip to lap 2, the end of lap 2, and we set another fastest lap. That's helping our efforts a little bit, but unable to pull too much of a gap. Perez steals the fastest lap away from Gill Squeeze. So, next lap, the end of lap 3, we set a outright fastest lap, 128.8. It looks like, yes, 128.8. A flying lap, very solid lap, with a full tank of fuel as well on Gill Squeeze's car. You can see a gap is starting to form on lap 4, the lap that most people will be coming in, including most likely our teammates. We come to the end of lap, entering sector 3. Gill Squeeze now in the lead, controlling this race, and goes a little bit wide in the penultimate corner, but keeps it together. Good exit on the final corner, and Sebastian Vettel comes into the bets. Sebastian Vettel and Nico Rosberg, it looks like. Maybe not Nico Rosberg. Yes, Sebastian Vettel and Nico Rosberg, the two right behind us, both come into the pits, and that means we need to put a lap in as we come in for our pit stop now. At the end of lap 5, we come in, get down to speed for that pit lane delta, and we need a solid pit stop from our pit crew right now, because we have Hamilton, who has we've put a bit of a gap to, but I mean he will be right behind us on the exit. And where does the two of Rosberg and Ricciardo come out? Not Ricciardo, Vettel come out. We seem to come out ahead of them, and we do. Hamilton right behind us on the soft tires, and we have a huge train though ahead of slower cars that we must get to and overtake soon, because we can't get stuck behind them at all, because we have Hamilton breathing down our neck, and we have Rosberg and Vettel, who I don't know where they are at the moment, but they must have rejoined behind Hamilton. But Gill Squeeze showing his rookie noobism as he bumps into Palmer, forces a bit of a collision. Palmer still staying side by side, but that will lose him a bit of time. Allowing Hamilton to catch up a bit, and that is bad for his race. He needed to keep it clean getting through these cars, and he doesn't. But to the middle of lap 7, we're overtaking Rio Harriento in the Man in Marussia, and you see Gill Squeeze go a little bit wide, getting not a very good exit, and here comes the Sauber of Nasser and Hamilton, as Gill Squeeze is in a squeeze himself, and that's a puncture. He barely touched Nasser. Nasser squeezed him, and he barely touched him under braking. Forces the puncture. Now Gill Squeeze has to get back to the pits. Goes wide, allows room for his teammate, holds up Max Verstappen for a moment, which should help. his teammate a bit. But you see now squeezing out Button a bit, or a Botas, excuse me. But Botas hits Gill Squeeze, and Gill Squeeze is out of the race. Look at this replay. Gill Squeeze innocently going around this track, just trying to get back to the pit lane. And we see, okay, there was a little bit of squeeze on Botas. But look, Botas just comes in and just, leaves no room for Gill Squeeze. Gill Squeeze, he knew, was side by side with him. And he just squeezes him and pushes him into the wall. That is the end of Gill Squeeze's race. That's a win for Mercedes, and Lewis Hamilton comes out with the victory in 25 points. Meanwhile, Sebastian Vettel, like second or third, he must have finished. Probably third, or actually second. I think he finished second. Mercedes celebrating that win that we should have had. And look at Sergio Perez on the podium in third place. And we see Sebastian Vettel drop down to fourth after starting first on the grid. That is, and Sergio Perez. How did Sergio Perez get up to third? That's huge for Force India. But at the end of the race, at the end of his opening, his debut, he does not finish after a cheap shot, I think, with Botas. Botas getting a bit frisky with us, and I don't like it. We may need to have a talk with him at the end of the press conference, but we definitely should have deserved that win, or at least, maybe not a win, but at least a podium, because Hamilton was breathing down our neck on, I believe, the same compounded tires, but we should have had that. As you see now, Hamilton leads the Drivers' Championship. We did not finish. Gill Squeeze getting 0 points in his debut. Scuderia Ferrari down in fourth after a first road lockout, and that is not a good way to start the season for both Gill Squeeze and Scuderia Ferrari. You see, we have 1,000 resource points that we are going to put towards an upgrade before next weekend. You see Sebastian Vettel killing Gill Squeeze in the rivalry update, as he actually finished the race, unlike Gill Squeeze. So, in our team position drops way down. You see, down to 3. Career score, yes, awesome, but now we need to get an upgrade on the car. See if we can overtake Red Bull in the research and development. We put an upgrade to the engine power, costing 700 resource points, and that should be good. We'll get that next race. So thank you all for watching. If you all enjoyed, hit that like button and subscribe. Tell your friends and family about this channel. Gill Squeeze should be a weekly race and weekly upload. And so yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys